Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing very fine. So we're making this beautiful dress today, this dress that you see on display with the breast pad and all those ceremony. Okay, so join me as we forge ahead. And if you're seeing this video for the first time, please subscribe, like and comment so that YouTube can recommend my videos. And if you're an old comer, thank you for staying put. Also like this video and comment. Okay, so you start by folding your fabric. So this is not the main fabric I'm going to be working with. This is lining. Okay, so you start by folding your fabric just like so. So we are cutting the breast part first. So now I've measured from shoulder to under bust, and the shoulder to under bust is 14 inches. I've gone ahead to draw a straight line. Okay, now the next thing is shoulder to bust point, and shoulder to bust point is 11 inches. It's 10 inches actually. Now the next measurement is the neckline. Okay, place your tape on the shoulder and get your neckline. The neckline I'm working with is 7 inches. I'm gonna head to mark my chalk, and I'm gonna go ahead and rule a straight line. So when you're sewing a breast part dress or blouse or dress, okay, when you're folding your fabric, please fold enough so that I can have enough space to cut the front part. Now the next thing is to place my tape on the bust line to get my nipple to nipple measurement. So the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I went ahead to place my tape on the bust line, and I marked 4.5. The half is for sewing allowance, and I went to the under bust line and I marked 4 inches instead of the same 4.5 I marked on the bust. And then I went on the neckline. I also marked 4 inches. So I'm going to connect the line from the neckline to the nipple and to the under bust to form that curve. So in a case where the pattern is busty, please don't go down by half an inch for the neckline and for the under bust. You can go down by 1 inch or even 1.5, depending on how busty the person is. So this particular customer is not really that busty, so that is why I went in by half an inch for the under bust and for the neckline. Now we're going to go ahead and cut. Okay, so if you have watched this video to this point, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, okay, so that YouTube can recommend my video. Now after cutting it, you're going to place it like so, just the way I did. That is why I said always have enough folding, okay, to be able to cut out the whole of the front part of the dress before you go to the back. So this is me pinning it down so that it won't move. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure the circumference of the bust. Okay, so whatever you get, you minus it by 4.5. That 4.5 is the 4.5 we use in marking the nipple. So you're going to minus it by 4.5, because if you don't minus it by 4.5, if you do your exact measurement, the allowance is going to be too much, and by the time you keep shaping and shaping and shaping, you're going to take the dress out of shape. Okay, so make sure you minus that 4.5 you marked at the nipple. Now the same thing for under bust, minus that 4 inches you place for the under bust, and for the neck region also minus the 4 inches, and then place your measurement. So just for example, if your bust circumference is 40, divided by 4 is 10. So you're going to go ahead and minus that 4 inches you place there, and whatever you get, you add your allowance, and then go ahead and connect the lines together. So this is what I did, very simple. So I'm cutting out the extra fabric because we don't need it. And that is it. So this is the front part of the dress. So the front part of the dress is going to have curve. That's the nipple region. They're going to have curve. Now it's time for us to cut the back part of the blouse, the back part of the front blouse or the front gown. Okay, now I'm going to place that front part we cut out on it and trace it out just like so. So the back, there's no breast at the back, so you don't need to cut out, if you don't need to trace out including the bust. Okay, so we are going to fold that curve and just rule a straight line, avoiding the curve. Just watch what I'm doing, you understand. So this is me placing the front part of the blouse on the back part to trace it out, and don't forget your zipper allowance as well. So I folded the nipple side to be able to cut it out, so the back should be straight like this. Okay, so this is the side of the back, and this is the middle of the back. I've been able to join it together. So this is another work now. So the next thing is to get our breast pad. So this is the breast pad I'm going to be using for this tutorial. Now we are going to be placing our the middle part of the front blouse on the side that have gum, on the breast part side that have gum. So you're going to put it, make sure that the breast part stops where the underbust is, and then go, and this is me ironing it to gum it together before I start cutting. And then do not iron it to the whole of the shoulder side, just from the neckline to the underbust line. That is where you have to iron. The neckline and the underbust line is only the cup, that's the cup part is the only place you need to iron. So we're gonna go ahead and trace it out, and this is it. So I'll iron it some more to make it stronger. And now this is the side of the front blouse, the two sides. I folded the breast part because to the front side there are two of them. Okay, so I've also gone ahead to place it on it. I'm going to trace it out now and iron both of them, underbust and neckline. That is where your breast part should start and stop. Underbust and neckline, it shouldn't be more than that, or else the breast part will be looking somehow. Okay, so this is me tracing it out, and yes, I'm done with that. So I'm going to go ahead and iron it. Each of them will have that. So this is, I'm going to cut off this extra one because I don't need it, So you see, make sure it is at the beginning of the neckline and end at the underbust line. So I'm going to go ahead and iron both of them now, so that the gum can glue to the dress. And this is it. I'm done ironing both of them. And this is what, so the longer part is the shoulder region. Okay, we are still going to open the neck measurement. We're still going to open the neck later. So this is the main fabric I'll be using to sew this dress. Okay, so why I did it on the line is to avoid any mistake and all. So now I'm going to still place it on this main fabric and trace it out, all of them. I'm going to place it here and trace it out. I've done the front middle one. I'm also going to go ahead and do it on the sides, and same thing on the back side of the dress. Okay, if you have watched the video to this point, please kindly give it a thumbs up and comment, just do something, okay, and I will really appreciate. Thank you. So I've also gone ahead to cut out the back part of the dress off camera. Okay, now remember we are sewing a gown, so now we are going to cut the down part of the dress. So I've gone ahead to fold the fabric into two, just like so. And I forgot to mention, when I was cutting the upper part, I minus 16 inches. The full length I used for that upper part was 16 inches from shoulder. Okay, so now this is me minusing the 16 inches to get the hip. So this is the hip line, and after the hip line, the next thing I'm going to get is the waistline. Okay, I'm going to have to draw that. Then the line, the beginning of the fabric now is still the waistline, because from her shoulder to her waist is 17 inches. But what I used to cut the first one, the upper one, was 16 inches. So here in this fabric, I have to still bring out the 1 inch to make it complete 17 inches. Okay, so now I've gotten the circumference of the waist, and I've gone ahead to add my measurements and all. So this is the hip measurement now I'm taking. So I'm going to go ahead and add extra allowance for sewing, and I'll go ahead and join the two together. Okay, I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. On that waistline, her full waist is actually 17 inches, but when I was cutting the upper part, I used 16 inches. So this is why I left 1 more inch here for this down part. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cut it offline because my table is not that long, and I've also cut the back part. So this is the back part of the dress, and there is nothing special. I didn't do anything special. The only thing I did was to trace the front one on top of the remaining fabric and cut out the back one, and I brought out 1.5 inches for zip allowance. Okay, now this is also lining. Okay, the dress is going to have lining. I'm also going to have to cut the lining the exact same way. Now I'm going to gum this breast pad on this main fabric. The reason is because I don't want it to move when I'm sewing it. I was supposed to cut this breast pad directly on the fabric, but for the purpose of this tutorial I had to use a lining. So now I want to gum it on that main fabric so that we can go ahead and sew. Okay, so I'm using hemming gum to just put it on the side, okay, so it won't be so it won't be visible on the dress at all. So I'm going to use my hot iron to just iron it together so that when I'm sewing it won't be shifting. Okay, so that's it. That's what I did, and I've gone ahead to do that for the middle and the side of the dresses. So this is the complete. So back to our table. Now it's time for us to sew. So this is how I'm going to do it, just like so. I'm going to put this first one on it and then use pin to hold it together, and also attach the second one on the curve to curve. Okay, right side facing each other, curve to curve, and then you go ahead and pin it from head to toe. So we'll go to our sewing machine now and sew it sides. Okay, we sew like this and we sew like this. So let's go and sew, and then we'll flip it open. Okay, so see you in a minute. And I am back. That has been done. So I'm not going to trim off these extra excesses. I don't need them. Okay, and then I make a notch. You have to make a notch so it will curve very well. When you're making your notch, please be careful not to cut into the dress, because here I didn't leave enough space, but I still managed to make the notch. So you can leave enough space for your notch. Okay, now let's open it. Now before we open it, you have to still measure your nipple to nipple to make sure they are now equal. So the nipple to nipple I work with is 8 inches, remember. So I just measured it and it's exactly 8 inches, just the way I want it. So this is it now. Look at the cup, just look at how beautiful it is. Okay, now for the back of the dress, let's go ahead and also join it with our lining. So why there is a change of color in the lining is because the golden lining I was using wasn't enough, so I had to get a black lining. Okay, so we are going to sew this and sew that. Now for the lining, we also do the same thing. Join these two together and sew, and join these two together and sew. These smaller ones are the middle parts, they'll be in the middle. Okay, and for the front part of the blouse, the same thing we did for the main blouse is also the same thing we're going to do here. We're going to put it curve to curve, sew like this and we'll sew like this. Okay, now it's time for us to measure out that neckline. That is 7 inches neckline, because we want to cut open our neck. That is why. So I went down a little more. I went down a little more by 8 inches, because that 7 inches was actually high. It was actually very high. So I went down a little more by 1 inch. That's making it 8 inches. And this is a round neck, so I've already drawn the roundish sign on it. Okay, and then I'm going to now go ahead and cut it open. Yeah, so if you have watched the video to this point, oh my god, thank you very much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, and this is it. We have opened the neck. Okay, so you have to trim it some more to give it a perfect look. So when you cut your own and you don't like what you see, trim it some more. So this is a breast part with shoulder. There are also breast part without shoulder, that's off shoulder, but this one is with shoulder because of the style. So I'm done trimming, a little more trimming and I'll be done. Oh yes, now to the lining. Okay, we're going to place this lining on top of it, right side to right side. Right side of the lining to the right side. How do you know the right side of the lining is placed that the stitches are not visible? So here now the stitches are visible, this upper part, because this is the back part. So by the time you now turn it over, the right side will not be visible. So first we are going to go ahead and sew it round like this before we cut out extra fabric. And here it is, I've gone ahead to sew, so I'm going to cut out this extra fabric now. Yeah, wow. So we are going to turn it over. We also use the hot iron to iron it very well to hold it in place in case it's giving you problem. So I'm just adjusting it. I'm still gonna sew that upper part to hold it down together, okay, and then sew the sides and all. So here it is, I've been able to sew it down together, so the lining is no longer visible on the outside, okay. And for the back, we're going to also repeat the same thing we did for the front here at the back. So we're going to get the lining and place it right side to right side on each of the two sides of the back. But we're going to cut the neck first. You know that the back neck is high, so I'm removing the zip allowance measurement first. That's what I use for the zip allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure the neckline for the back. So I think the length I used there is 2 inches and the width is 3 inches. I curved. Okay, I went down a little bit more by 2 inches length and 3 inches width, or 3 inches length, 3 inches width. So this is me cutting it. So I'm going to trim it some more to form that roundish curve. Now the next is to get our lining. Just the same thing we did for the front one is what we are going to do for the back one as well. So make sure is the right side facing the right side. The visible stitch should be the one up, while the invisible stitch should be inside. So right side facing right side. And then with your pin, you pin it from the neck region. Repeat the same thing for the other side. And then we'll go to our machine and sew. Okay, so here they are. They've been sewn and ironed. Okay, so now this is the right side of that line. It's what I'm talking about. The right side is now the side that is visible. And now for the down part of this dress, the same thing. This is the lining. We have also cut the lining, so we are going to place the lining on each of them and sew the sides. So I'm going to sew and then turn it over. It's almost a full lining, semi-full lining. I didn't make it a whole full lining. It's a semi-full lining. And now we are going to bring the front part of the dress and join it with the down part of the dress. That's both the front part, the front upper part and the front down part. So we are going to join, but first of all, let's get our dart. So remember that there is a line at the middle of the front upper part. That's the breast part side. Okay, so make sure that line is the same thing, is in line with the down part as well. Make sure they're in line with the down part. So this is me creating a dart for the two. Okay, now I've gone ahead to sew the dart. So I'm going to now join them together, making sure the line is facing each other and they're in a straight line. Okay, and then you sew all of it. But first I'm going to use my pin to hold only that dart part, the dart part, so the dart will not move. And when I'm sewing on the sewing machine, I will start from that dart part to sew before I join everything completely. and here it is. The lines are in straight line, both the upside and the downside. The darts are in the same line, straight line like this. The same thing we are going to repeat for the back as well. So this is me getting the darts for the back, and I'm going to use my pin to also hold it together, and then I'll sew. So this is it for the back dress. The darts are in line with each other. Okay, so that's it. We are going to join it together like this and then sew. But before we do that, let's cut that design you saw on the side of the dress. So this is what is left of this fabric now. This is what is remaining. So I've folded into the first folding, second, and I think third. I did like 3 foldings here. I just want to cut out flesh. So I did 6 inches to cut out the this mark. I did 6 inches, and then the down part is 7 inches, but I wanted it to be 8 inches, so I remove 1 inch again, so everything can be 8 inches. Okay, so everything is 8 inches, 8 inches, 8. That's the length of the flay, is 8 inches. So I connected it all the way from beginning to the end, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. And here it is the flay we're going to be adding on the side of the dress. I'm going to cut it open so that one will serve as lining for the other. I've gone ahead to cut it open. So now we have 2 flay. Okay, so one is going to serve as a lining to the other one. I've gone ahead to sew it round as I sewed from the down part of the length, so I'm turning it over from the other open side. Okay, so this is it. This is what the flay looks like. Now it's time for us to attach it on our dress. Now this is the front part. Okay, we haven't joined the whole dress here. This is the front part. Now I'm going to place it on this side. Place it like so. Then use your pin to hold it down together. And I also pleated it a little bit, because if I hadn't pleated it would have been so long. And from the inspiration we have, from the one we got in the video, it was also pleated. So this is me making a little pleat. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it all down to the end. Okay, after that I will sew. So we are on the floor now because my table is very short. It's time for us to get the full measurements, or rather, yes, the whole measurements of this dress. So we are closing it up. Okay, now this is me getting the bust measurements, and I minus the extra inches I placed there when we are cutting it. Now the next is the waist measurement. You also mark, remove the extra inches that you put there when you were cutting it. Okay, and the next, okay, you connect the lines first, then the next is the hip line, or the hip measurement. The hip measurement, you minus the extra 2 inches or 1 inch, or no matter the amount of the inches you added there, you remove them, and then connecting the lines together from the bust to the waist to the hip and all the way down. And this is a pencil gown, by the way. It's a pencil gown. So this is me connecting all the lines together. So to the end, and after that we'll go ahead and sew. So for the armhole, we didn't cut out our armhole yet. I'm gonna have to do that. That's 8 inches length, and I curved the same thing. And then your shoulder slant, even though I didn't do shoulder slant here because I forgot, but when I was sewing it, I also removed the shoulder slant. Okay, just by 1/2 inch. I didn't do much for the shoulder slant. So this is me pinning it all the way down so that before we can go and sew. I'm done pinning it, so it's time for us to sew. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to cut off that extra fabric because we don't need it. Yeah. So I've cut off the extra fabric. Now it's time for us to trim the shoulder further. So I used 4 inches. Remember, the shoulder initially was 7 inches because it's 14 inches divided by 2, 7 inches. But because this is a sleeveless gown, it's not going to have hand at all. I want the sleeves to be a little slimmer, so I went ahead to trim out the shoulder once more. So I used 4 inches to trim it down, and this is me getting the armhole off by 8 inches. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut it off like this. Yes. So I'm going to use bias to pipe that hand, that rough looking part. I'm going to use bias to turn it off. Okay, and this is what this dress looks like. I've turned it with bias. I've folded the down part. I've added the zipper, and everything is looking fine. So when the owner wears it, I'm going to make a short video and post it on my shorts so that you watch and see what it looks like. This dress is actually very beautiful, for real. So this is beginner friendly enough. So if you watched up to this point, thank you. Bye. See you in my next video.